Hey YouTube, Imperitus here. Gonna talk with you today about some metal. I myself, as some of you know and some of you don't, am a major metalhead. Been doing various things involved in the metal scene for as long as I can quite possibly remember at this point. Going to shows, did a zine way back in the day, helped out various bands in various ways over the years, so on and so forth. But today I'm going to talk to you about a band from the state of Utah in America called Caladan Brood. These guys are epic atmospheric black metal in the vein of Summoning, who happens to be another one of my favorite bands. This album came upon me unexpectedly. A friend recommended it, and I checked it out, and then heard the one track on YouTube and said, "Yep, I'm buying that." Placed the order immediately. It is by and far been one of my favorite albums the past few years. It's like I said, if you like Summoning, this is an album that's right up your alley. Epic sweeping synths with just the right amount of black metal, and it just creates some very just haunting soundscapes. It's, again, some people will compare it to Summoning, and yes, the comparisons are there, but I don't think in any way or form it's a rip-off. It's definitely more of an homage, simply because I haven't come across too many bands in this style. Maybe they're out there. If they are, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to check them out. What you get with this album is 8 tracks of just pure atmosphere, clocking in at just under 90 minutes, so it makes for a good long distance driving album, which I've done a couple times, and it really makes the time go that much nicer. My personal favorite track on the album is To Walk the Ashes of Dead Empires. Just the ending part of that song is so haunting. It's so well done. To me, it gives me a feel of people celebrating in a hall. And it works on a number of levels because the song never drags. It's a 13-minute long song, and it doesn't drag. None of these songs on this album drag or feel like filler. And they do 2 covers of Summoning songs. Northwards, I believe, is one, and the other is Marching Homewards. So, and those are 2 great Summoning songs. It also makes for a really good background music type album. Like, I've used this album and Summoning as well when I'm doing some gaming, playing some of the Dark Souls games, or at this point now Elden Ring. This album, especially for Elden Ring, just fits everything perfectly, at least in my opinion, and it makes good background music for when you're just wandering around and exploring. It's definitely something to behold. If you're a fan of this style of metal, I would absolutely 100% check these guys out if you've never heard of them. And if you've never heard of Summoning, give that a go as well, because that is some amazing stuff as well. They've been one of my favorite bands for decades now. These guys base all their lyrics off a series of books by Scott Erickson, known as the Malazan series. I'm not personally familiar with it. I have not read any of it before, but I have been in the process of looking into it and seeing what they're about. Again, not too many bands fall into that. I can only think of a couple others, and that were exclusively about a writer's works. And again, that would be Summoning, and I believe there's another band out there called Ymir Mule, if I pronounced that right. And from what I've heard of those guys, they're pretty good too. So you don't see too much quote-unquote genre in the underground metal scene, so to speak. You see it once in a while here and there, and the underground scene is a genre in and of itself. But like I said, bands writing lyrics about authors, fictional works, Summoning, Caladan Brood, or in some cases even doing stuff about, video games. Soul Mass has done a couple albums now talking about all the Souls games, and it's some pretty good stuff. Whether you're a fan of those games or not, the metal is superior. So it exists. It's just not as common. But I do. So far, for the most part, there's been a few bands that have quote unquote tried to be a genre band, so to speak, and they weren't bad musically or untalented. It just didn't click with me. So to each their own. Hopefully, I can turn a bunch of people on to some new music. Always into, I always dig getting people into new killer tunes. Keep an eye out. I'll probably be doing a few more of these, talking about past albums of glory, so to speak, and a bunch of bands people may or may not have ever heard of. So keep an eye out for your notifications, and if you have any comments, please leave them in the comments.